I wanted to share this oak bonsai. It's looking really great right now. The new leaves have just come out. They're very small, and as of right now, they're in scale for the pot size. Um, but this tree is one of those ones that I didn't know this would be one of my favorite trees this year, but right now I'm really enjoying it. And this the this tree is interesting. I found it in my front yard in 2022, so 2 years ago. It's May 2024 right now, and I I was digging up a portion of the yard to plant a rose and found an oak tree, and I was about to pull it up and just uproot it, throw it out because I wanted to plant a rose. But before I threw it out, I thought, well, this is a perfectly good oak tree. I'm not gonna just dig this up like a weed. So I took a shovel, shoveled it up, and just carried the whole soil mass to my backyard, to my elevated grow bed, and plopped it in there. I probably severed the taproot when I did it, and I didn't know how I'd do. I remember later in the summer seeing it, and it had taken off a little bit and was growing, and I thought, all right, that oak tree is gonna be fine. So then I let it grow again in that spot in 2023, and at the end of 2023, last fall, I looked at the base of it, which was about right here. Most of this was buried, but the base, and I saw this really sharp curve, just natural curve to the tree that had grown. And so I thought, wow, that's pretty neat. And that's when I got the idea, well, maybe I should make this into a small tree. And I do like that curve, and the other parts, the branch placement of the branches looked really nice, just naturally without any of my pruning. So I decided, all right, I'm gonna put it in a pot this spring. And so when I dug it up this spring, I was even more happy to find that below the soil surface was this nice fat curved trunk. This all right here was buried beneath the soil, or most of it. So there were actually roots here I took off, and it also was curving. And I thought, what a pleasant trunk movement it had. So I was planning on using this pot, which I really like. It's a 3-inch pot, 3-inch square, for another tree. And just last minute, while I was potting this up, or after I dug it up, I said, well, I'm gonna put in this pot. I think it looked really good in there. For some reason that appeals to me. So that's what I did. I put it in this pot and read up about oaks and thought, well, we'll see. I was pretty severe on the roots. I don't know if it's gonna survive that, but I think it's gonna be good. It's growing pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. And so just recently, within the last few days, I think I realized, why do I care so much about this tree that, or like this tree so much that I just dug up in my yard? And I found the reason looking at this book, my first bonsai book that I got when I was a high schooler. I remember I bought this at Borders when that still existed. It was on sale, and I found this book, and instantly that tree on the front appealed to me. And so I started flipping through it, and I was very just fascinated with bonsai. I kept this book around for years. Periodically I'd look at it. But on the cover here, you can see a little oak tree in a little pot. The editor must have deemed this worthy enough to put on the cover. And again, on page 125, or again, I should say, this is bonsai. This is by Harry Tomlinson. On page 125, there's another picture. It's the same picture, but they had edited the hand out, so in hand holding that tiny oak tree. And I realized, I think that's where I got the idea to create. I even kind of chose the same color pot as this image. And I think that's where the idea got planted way back decades ago, and why this tree, has appealed to me so much. So it's just kind of fun to see. It made me laugh when I saw that picture and didn't realize I was creating my own version of the image I liked so much. Yeah, this tree's mysterious. That's one other fun thing about it, because usually when you buy a tree at a nursery or you buy a tree online, you know what you're buying. You know that, you know the species, you know the cultivar. This tree though, since I dug it up in my yard, I have no idea what species it is as of right now. I'm gonna try and find out. Oaks are a little mysterious to me. I know my native conifers in my region, but broadleafs I'm less confident of, and especially oaks. And this isn't a native tree. I'm sure this is probably from a planted tree here in my neighborhood, which is like an urban forest. So yeah, I don't know. I know it's Quercus. I know it's oak based on the leaf shape, but that's all I know. And the other really mysterious thing about this tree, so like I said, my house is in an urban forest. We have a lot of mature trees here, and I have a lot of maples, and I think they're also called sycamores. They're maples with big leaves. Maybe a Norway maple, I think I've determined was perhaps a common name that's used frequently. There's also a lot of spruce trees and quite a few big elm trees in my neighborhood. And then you see prunus around, you know, plums and cherries. What else do we have? We have some mountain ash, sorbus, but you see a lot of maples, you see a lot of elms, and a lot of spruces. So those are the big three, and then a variety. But the weird thing about this tree, like I said, I found it in my front yard, and I can't find a nearby oak. I've lived in my house for quite a while. I know a lot of the big trees and the trees in my immediate area. And really the only oak I can think of that's at all close is a whole maybe half-mile away. So, you know, where did the acorn, why was there acorn in my front yard? I imagine it's squirrels. We have a lot of squirrels, but why did a squirrel, you know, truck this acorn, you know, a quarter mile, a half mile, I don't know, to my yard? And, you know, probably there's an oak somewhere nearby in a neighbor's yard that I just haven't noticed, but there's nothing in the immediate vicinity of my, you know, on my block that's an oak tree. So kind of funny that this oak tree ended up in my front yard. But yeah, I just really love it, and it's just fun to see again that seed of an idea that gets planted in your head, maybe as a, you know, decades earlier when I was a teenager, about, you know, putting an oak tree in a little pot. And right now the leaves are pretty in scale, I guess. But you know, this is not at all what a natural oak will look like. And once the leaves get bigger, these leaves are going to look huge for this pot. But I still like the image, and it's still, you know, bonsai can be a lot of things. It can be an art form where you're trying to imitate like a natural tree, or you're trying to imitate a tree that's had a hard life, or even a young tree. This is really just, you know, I haven't seen an oak tree that looks like this with this curved trunk. All the oak trees that I know of in the arboretum by my house and in the neighborhood are basically just straight trunks. And I love oaks, but this is definitely not an oak that I see around, not a natural oak. So it's just, you know, it's an art form. It's you can make all sorts of things with it. You can plant a tree that's going to have huge leaves in a little pot, which is what I've done here. And it's still as fun to do as it is trying to make a tree look, you know, natural, like an old tree that hasn't been manipulated. But yeah, there's a view of the leaves. They've really taken off. Like I said in a recent video, it's fun to watch how fast these leaves really develop. Once those buds open, the leaves really often take off. So yeah, fun tree, and I'm looking forward to seeing how big these leaves get. First off, I honestly can't remember from last growing season, how big are they going to get? And also, you know, in this little pot, what's going to happen to these leaves? I don't know. I imagine they'll reduce quite a bit, but I haven't read up on how well oak leaves reduce. But my plan is to keep this small. I'm gonna let it grow like it has grown. It's grown a whole like 2 inches just in the last week or two, from these extending buds and shoots. But yeah, I plan to, I'm letting it recover because I did do quite a bit of root work, and I didn't know how it was gonna act when I did that. I didn't know if I'd killed it, and I remember looking day after day. I'd look at the buds and think, I think they're swelling, and like, no, they're not swelling. I killed it. I was too harsh on the roots, but I think it's gonna be successful, and I am gonna put it in. I keep it in a bigger pot, and I plan to let the roots escape. And actually, I can see here there are some escape roots actually happening, so that's good to see some root growth on it. So I'll let them escape into that bigger pot, but periodically pull it up so that the plant doesn't become dependent on these escape roots. But it'll help it, especially during the heat of the summer when it gets hot. So yeah, there's my little tiny oak. Only oak I've tried, my first oak, and just a fun tree.